Hello and welcome to the New World Review. I'm Grandline Waifu and today we are considering trust and the idea of true strength without a sign of basically any of the characters we're used to talking about actually. Let's get into it. After all the time we spent with Killua last week, episode 102 was all about Gon and trust, and I'd like to think about how trust and vulnerability are shared and what it might mean going forward, all in the context of our little dude bro Steve Melon and his cute little tuft of hair. Lil Melon Man followed Gon for a while before making himself known, but something I failed to consider immediately was the idea that he deliberately made himself known before Gon was out of the forest and into a desert. He chased him to a new location. Yes, it's impossible to hold your breath forever, but it shows that as soon as Steve had seen how Gon handles himself and the way in which he did handle himself, he made his decision. For all his frustration with Gon giving his trust freely, Steve didn't have a leg to stand on. He'd done exactly the same thing, and quite frankly, that's kind of cute. And there's this deep-seated understanding that's beginning to emerge from this arc in which those who remember what and who they were, those who were primarily human especially, they remember that humanity. They remember that piece of them that felt something for someone else, or that piece of them that experienced something else beyond the need to predate or hide. They were just people. And that normality about them is what makes them magical in this setting. I'm a huge lover of the hero's call to adventure, and I'm even more a fan of it when it's a call that they would not have chosen. When it's not a call they wanted, but a call they got. Seeing what people do when they're placed into situations they didn't plan for, like getting eaten by a giant queen ant and existing with chameleon powers, then seeing your foster father's head get sliced off by both the person who ruled your island with an iron fist in both the past life and this one. See that? That is fascinating to me. Because it's the true show of behavior and a true mark of who we are. More than Gon and Killwa's situation, actually, because Gon and Killua were never normal. The first image we got of Gon was him heaving a giant fish out of the water. The first image we got of Killua was a perfectly ordinary teenager as part of a grueling exam that kills many adults who attempt it. They walked into the decision with full awareness of where it could lead, even if it hasn't led to where they expected it to. They knew that there would be danger, and they walked toward it. Steve, on the other hand, chameleon, simply lived a life and was punished for it, and then punished again. Any choice he makes now is a direct consequence of the situation that he was thrust into, so I feel more intensely for him, and I like that. So when he tells Gon to take his time to trust, when he says, "I'm sure it'll take time for you to trust me because to you, I look like a monster," that's his humanity, and it's very telling of what he sees as a monster. He's observed others and seen what they are and who they are and what they'll do. He sees those who have given in to that side of them, and he sees Gon, who has come from a similar situation, raised by his aunt as a kindred spirit. He also sees Gon for what he is, which is one of the first times it's been stated to my recollection, at least to Gon. It's been said behind his back, but I don't know if it's often said to the boy himself. I think I mentioned a while back that Gon and Hisoka have a monstrous similarity, and that I could see Gon becoming Soki when he grows up. What Steve is seeing in Gon is what I saw then. Someone who will consciously step into danger to make a point and stay there because it's fun. Somewhere between birth and now, Gon learned that to get what he wants, he's going to have to feed that urge to be a monster. And what we've been seeing this whole time is a shift towards that monstrousness. It's why I've been so interested in when we get to see him kill, which to date is only that one crushed bug a number of episodes ago, as far as I'm aware. If we could do a Benjamin Button style crossover, it's the birth and development of a monster from episode 1 to now, while Meruem is going the other way. From monster back to humanity. They meet in the middle and size each other up and see that actually they're perfectly matched. Gon's ability to track is fascinatingly perfect as a crossover for Chameleon's special trick, and it is a truth universally acknowledged that Gon can't keep himself hidden unless he's hunting Soki. Meanwhile, King Waistcoat is learning how to play every game to learn the meta of every stratagem in existence. Since the vast majority of board games we commonly play are actually war games, or at least the vast majority of early board games that we commonly play are actually war games, this makes perfect sense. I do wonder as well how much of this is the man who existed before and how much is the man who exists now. And it's a perfect counterpoint to Steve if you think about it really, because Steve got to have a somewhat good upbringing with a foster parent, good enough in any case that he is willing to risk death to take revenge on the bug who killed him. We know that King Dudington had an awful brutal upbringing and has a pretty ruthless history. So his interesting games could come from who he was, or it could come from who he is. Either way, he seems to find games to be genuinely engaging, so I wonder how that detail will be used, if it's used at all. What we know is that he's honing his strategic mind, which can only make him more dangerous. It would be easy to assume that the antagonist in this case is resting, but no. The mental activation here is intense, and we're seeing him study to learn about essentially his opponents since they're largely human. And we finally meet the one who may be able to match him, the one in the end credits. We don't know who she is, but we want to find out, right? Okay, all nod yes, and let's move on to episode 103. In episode 103, we continue the strategy idea that was initiated in the last episode. And the major thing we're learning right now is that it doesn't matter how strong you are, a snot-nosed brat can always come in and make you feel like an idiot. Huzzah for snot-nosed brats! We're also learning in great detail what Meruem's weakness is. Meruem, in human form, wanted to be the strongest, the best, the smartest, and wanted to do so to make his father proud. And reborn, he still seems to be the same, trying to beat everyone to prove he is the smartest. We already know he's one of the strongest, and definitely the most ruthless, heartless, and a number of other lesses, except he wants to be the not less, so it's a strange way to show that when you think about it. As far as we're aware, there is only one way to distract the king, and that is to put an unconquerable task in front of him. I mean, it's a good way to distract anyone, really, but him specifically right now. That unconquerable task is currently a game with a little girl. If she can keep him busy for long enough, the others might have to go out and fight to protect him, because it's all consuming, this need to be the best, isn't it? It's nice when you see something begin to take shape, and it's even nicer when it's something unexpectedly simple. For Pito to say that if Lionel Kitty can't deal with the situation, that the king might have to, and for there to be genuine concern from Violin Butterfree Dude about the fact that the king hasn't won yet. Of all of them, I think he's struck on the real center of the problem, which is that there's a mental war being waged right there on the board, and the king is fighting on that front right now, alone. Yes, he has the upper hand of being the king, and therefore fully capable of just killing her immediately. She is, after all, an uncommonly stupid girl. But the greater problem is that essentially the king is paralyzed until the game is over, and the others are expected to deal with the war on the more physical level. And speaking of unconquerable tasks, Cheetu has put himself into an equally unconquerable task. He thought he'd caught Morpheus, but no, if anything, he's actually trapped himself. Welcome to the Matrix. A hyperactive cat now has to not touch his prey, and that's hilarious and awkward for him. A test of strength he probably would have won. A test of wills? Cheetu has lovely short shorts, but I really don't think they're going to be enough. Unconquerable positions like this and outsmarting the predator, that's a lovely theme to have as an episode. And such a switch from the last one, given Gon's inability to outsmart most people. His strength is in being deathly honest about his situation, which enemies then underestimate. Sort of the same as this little girl who only opens her eyes to play games. And it's fascinating to see her eyes only open for this, because I'm fairly sure everyone sees images in their minds when they think, regardless of whether or not they actually have vision. And so if she were to close her eyes, I wonder whether she would be genuinely handicapped in a situation that she wields the most power. And the more she wins, the more we can see the composure Meruem holds dropping as he gets more and more angry with how easily she commands the board. His pride is going to be his downfall, as it is for so many villains. And he's a pretty stereotypical villain in a lot of ways, which is why I focused on other aspects of him, because, you know, he's a bad guy. Like, what else are you supposed to say about that? Speaking of the bad guy, there's something very chilling in the idea that the previous person to play the game hanged himself, and the king's response is like, oh yeah, just bring him back, I'm not done. I've been wondering about how enduring or how powerful Pito's ability actually is in terms of the memories and cognitive abilities of the people they control, but it seems that if the king can demand they be brought back, it means they have all their mental capacities. Was Kite's aura activated? I believe so, which means he has to be in there, right? The puppet master can only use what's available, and thus we come to the nature of a soul, and I really don't know whether that conversation's going to help us, so I'm not going to have it today. We don't know at present what's happening to Killua, but I imagine we're going to jump cut to him being somewhat alive and protected by his Octo Buddy. The plan as it started has been shifted on so many levels at this point that it's fun to see how and why and when each character compromises the rest of the group. Gon not telling the others about his new friend is an interesting one. I suppose he doesn't really need to worry about catching or killing Stevie Wonder. Speaking of Stevie, how very dare he make the best call in the series so far about Knuckle. There are distinct Johnny Bravo connections firing on all cylinders now that it's been said, and the major difference is that Knuckle is happy to cry, and as much as he's a macho man, he's an emotionally in touch macho man, and we love our machismo with a healthy dose of vulnerability and genuine care, don't we? Yeah, we do. Even Stevie felt that vulnerability that was offered, despite saying that it wouldn't change his view. Thank you, Johnny. Before Meruem was taken into Napland, he set up some dudes to protect the city. Those dudes have thoroughly confused Lionel and will continue to until he gets up close? How long does that work? How much scrutiny do they hold up to? How powerful are they? How long will it take for Cheetu to try to tempt Meruem before Meruem tags him? Where the hell is Killua? Who is this doctor? I have so many questions, and these 2 episodes were frankly fantastic. Not the best. I still don't know which is my favorite. I'm going to wait till the end of the series to figure that out. But the ideas involved are ones that I love to consider philosophically on my own nerdy time, so I'm glad Togashi brought them up. I'm going to try watch some more now, but that means diving into new episodes. So for now, that's it from me. If you enjoyed these random philosophical If you enjoyed these random philosophical rambles, hit the like, follow, and subscribe button. Check out the links here, here, and here. Keep cool, calm, collected, and strategic, and I'll see you next time.